Hello! What's up, guys? So I just got over to Alex's house. He just got his head back, finally. I know it's been a long time since we posted anything, and it kind of sucks, but we've really just been waiting on that. We haven't had a whole lot to film. I've been doing a lot of snowboarding and stuff, which if you want to check that out, I have another YouTube channel. I'll put that in the description and along with my Instagram and stuff like that. But for now, we're going to talk about some car stuff. So here's the head he's got going on here. You can see how nice and clean everything is. Got the valves already in it. It's dope. So let's get this thing put together, and I'll let Alex explain, you know, what he has done to it and what's going on with it as he's putting it together. So without any further ado, let's get to it.
Alright, what's up, guys? We're back at it doing race car shit, ish. Alright, so Josh kind of went over the head. I just got it back from the machine shop, took to a local guy down here. So he milled the head, installed stainless turbo valves. The intake is 1 millimeter over size, which is a stock H22 valve, so it's essentially just H22 valve train. The valve, or the dual valve springs, are O'Brien Crower, same thing, titanium retainers. Deck's been, or the head's been hot tanked. Bronze valve guides have been installed. A little hard to see,
yeah,
but they're in there. So I got all the valve train cleaned up and stuff. We are basically ready for assembly. These are Vtec locking pins. So there is, watch, check this stuff out over here. This is everything that's getting eliminated out of the head. So all these pins and stuff basically is what makes Vtec work. And these are the LMAs. Speed Factory recommends to remove them. So that's what we're gonna do. And those are all steel, these are titanium, but we don't need Vtec. So essentially, these pins just lock these rockers together. Put it in there. Need some lube.
Should have brought my KY.
But these sit in here, and this depresses the little spring in here, and then locks the 3 rockers together. This will trash the pads on the rockers, and it is going to decrease the life of this lobe. It's going to flatten it out over time, but eventually I'm just going to get like a roller rocker set up, and then that way we don't have to worry about any of that. So we're going to go ahead and try to get this valve train together and give you guys some good stuff to watch.
All right, so we got all the locking pins in. Some of them were kind of a pain in the butt to get in there, others weren't, but they're all good to go. So let's
start assembling the head.
Yep, let's continue. All right, so we got them all on there. All the rockers are on. Everything's looking good so far.
Yeah, so these are now
tight,
locked together. Normally what would happen is oil pressure would come through the Vtec solenoid, and it pressurizes these tubes and moves a pin over, and then locks these locks the rockers together. Without Vtec,
that's what engages Vtec.
Without this pin in there that locks, like, it runs just on these 2 outer rockers, and then the center one bounces off the LMAs, which has been deleted. Race car.
Dope. All right, the head's about to be setting on the motor here in a minute.
Yeah, good to go. So again, once over on the block, this is an f20b with an H22 A4 crank. It's got H22 A4 Eagle rods in it, and it's got custom made Wiseco pistons. These are 9.5 to 1 compression. The block's been done by CSS, and it's got a balancer shaft delete on it, and an H23 manual tensioner conversion. So this thing's pretty Frankenstein together with all the best pieces to create the best engine. All right, so we are going to throw the head on this thing with this head gasket. Now this is the old head gasket that's originally from this engine. So the reason I want to use this is because I don't want to ruin a new head gasket, because we're about to put Play-Doh in this engine. Second of all, it's already been crushed. So when I put the head on it, I don't have to really tighten it down. I just need to run a couple nuts on it. That way the head doesn't go anywhere. Put the valve train in, tighten everything down, and then time the engine and then crank it over. And we're going to check piston to valve clearance and valve to valve clearance. So
So essentially we're just gonna tighten down the two center ones.
just hand tight.
Yep, just hand tight so we don't really have to put them all on right now. We just need it tightened down so we can crank it over real quick and get that plate there to set.
Sure, there's a tool for everything, but if they make a tool to put these things on,
Next
or into,
investment.
yeah. Or maybe my aim just sucks. That's possible too.
No. All right, you two are snug down.
Would you look at that?
Beautiful.
Too bad we gotta do this twice.
Right. Better safe than sorry, though. Don't need to be smacking valves on first startup.
Yeah. Never have enough lube.
Yep. All right, put the cam caps on there. And just get in the engine bay.
Yeah, there you go.
Get a better angle from over here.
Stand over there.
Trying to stay out of the way, but keep the shot at the same time.
Put that on the right way.
Nah, all right.
was running a little bit of oil on these cam cap bolts. They've been out for a few years. And not enough of those. Again, nothing needs to be super tight. Again, Play-Doh in the engine. You just want to rotate it over in time. See what the valves are doing when they open up.
Essentially, we're just doing this to make sure that the valves and the pistons aren't going to make contact on first startup. We want to make sure there's some clearance in there.
With the stroke, the stock bore size, the milling of the head, the piston actual compression ratio itself,
oversized valve,
flat face valves at that, we're probably looking about 10.5 to 1 compression on this. So like I said, this should be not a problem because most stock H22s are around 10.5 to 1, so shouldn't have an issue, but this is just for safety's sake, plus it's always good practice. Alright, so basically I'm just going to line these two marks up on these cams best we can.
So the marks right there on the cam gears.
Then you want to make sure your crank is at TDC. There's a dot here on these H's and a line of
See the dot right on the end of that gear right there, and the little line on the back, little arrow pointing down, so you want that tooth to be lined up. Alright, so we got the belt on there. So everything looks like it's lined up. You can see the two little notches on the gears. And a little dot on that gear there lined up.
Yep, you just run this one revolution over. So we're going to make sure these cams just make one full revolution. Now what this is going to do is going to crush the Play-Doh.
It's about almost there.
Open the valves.
All right, I'll get to pull everything back apart.
Yep. So essentially, if you do this test on a regular engine that you're building, let's say just a regular Vtec engine, you're going to need to lock the rockers into Vtec when you do this, because if you do just the low cams and you're running an aftermarket camshaft, it's possible when it goes into Vtec, that's when the valves are going to smack. So a lot of people run a BB in between the small pin and the large pin, where it goes into the third rocker. You can put a BB right there, put the rockers together, and just do, just for cylinder 1, where Vtec is locked in place, and then basically perform this whole test. And then pull it back apart, take your BB out, and put it back to normal. So.
All right, let's get her back apart. All right, got the head off. Play-Doh is looking pretty good. Looks like you have actually a pretty decent amount of clearance on that.
Oh, we're good.
I was expecting it to be a lot worse than that, but yeah.
Yeah, we got all the room in the world.
Yep.
Yeah,
cool.
So right where, puts pockets.
Dope.
Yeah, it looks like it didn't even suck up any Play-Doh either.
Now we get to throw it back together for real this time. Put it back together to not come back apart. So we get the new head gasket on there, and we'll just reassemble the whole thing. Got the new head gasket here with Alex's secret sauce that we're not going to talk about spraying on there.
Put a little bit of that boost sauce on there. All right, got the head gasket down. You just want to wait until this thing gets a little bit tacky, and then You can hear the floor. Sprayed it everywhere.
So we got the little pins going on there to keep everything squared away.
Yeah, it's got the dowel pins on.
Yep.
So basically the head is ready to go down. Goodbye, beautiful turbo parts.
Yep, this is the last time we see all this stuff.
Alright, so this is the f20b almanac. Some of this information in here may be a little bit proprietary according to you know, clearances and stuff, but basically I just used a dial bore gauge. I used a journal mics and calipers and stuff, and then here's kind of doing, you know, some of the math and stuff, figuring out bearing clearances, piston wall clearances, main clearances, all the, you know, out of cylinder, out of round, bore size, piston to wall, I mean, all that stuff. So yeah, we are going through right now. There we go. Go to engine assembly and get the torque sequence, head studs, probably 3 equal steps to 90 foot-pounds of torque. 200,000 preload torque. 3 equal steps to 90 foot-pounds with ARP Ultra Torque.
Alright, so we got everything put back together and torqued down for the final time. Alex is just currently timing it. I think we're pretty much good to go. Gonna give it a turn and make sure everything lines back up. So yeah, that's where we're at now.
Well, we got the long block all assembled, so it is good to go. And now we are going to put this adapter plate for something special on this engine. So go ahead and run some hardware into this. Because that's what we do, is we just
send it.
yeah, we just Frankenstein everything.
Alright, so we gotta cut this intake manifold gasket a little bit. There's some stuff interfering, like right here there was a little bolt that wasn't quite clearing, so it wouldn't sit flat, and then this whole little flap here needs to come off because it just kind of hangs off the side. So that's what we're currently doing. Alright, so we got this gasket all trimmed down, so we needed to trim it right here to clear that little bolt, and then we also needed to trim this corner off because it was hanging out to like here. It just looked all silly. Yeah, for the water neck too, it was down hanging in the way. So
this is an RBC that I've hand polished. I got like a little over 50 hours in this thing, just polishing it. Started with 80 grit, DAing it, and went all the way up to 2500 and polished it, but this thing's beautiful. Yeah, this has been cut out for the oil passage here. There's a plug that goes there. The water neck's obviously been chopped off this thing. Bunch of plugs, that's been welded. Intake air temperature sensor has been added to the back of this. If you notice, the throttle body is actually 180 out, it's upside down. That makes it easier just to adjust the TPS and get to the map sensor. That way it's not tucked up underneath it here. And it also hides the throttle cable, so you won't even see that when it's in the engine. So this is a 70 millimeter throttle body. It's been port matched on this side. The manifold itself is still relatively stock. Inside wise, it hasn't been ported, not yet anyway, but we'll get this puppy mounted up and start getting some more goodies on this.
would you just look at it?
Would you just look at it?
Oh my goodness. So Alex, you're leaving the valve cover unpainted, correct? For now?
No, it will be painted. The color of that is going to go with the color of the car.
Which is still a surprise.
Yep, I think they will contrast quite well. Definitely doing something that'll kind of throw everybody off. But we were talking about this. So since Vtec's deleted, there is a block off plate that will be going right here. So that'll be all nice and fancy. That'll be probably a billet, so it'll look like the throttle body. Unfortunately, I'm still going to run a distributor for now, just to get it up and running, just to put, you know, this engine in the car and get it up and going. I mean, I know stock Honda distributors will do, you know, 500, 600, 700 horsepower. I mean, easy, I've seen it all day. But I eventually want to go coil unplug, and if I do it right, get the cam trigger and everything that I need for the Honda and do the entire retrofit. I want to delete this as well, so this entire side of the engine will just be, you know, nice and clean, no bulkiness going on with the Vtec solenoid and distributor and this and that and the other things. So I want to keep it nice as clean. I want to keep this thing as simple as possible. As you notice, I did take off the cam belt or the cover for this thing, but we can take this off and put the original H22 valve cover or f20b valve cover on this thing. So this is what originally, well, if I can put it on there correctly, this is what the original valve cover would look like on this thing.
So as you can see, from this to what he's running now, you can see he's done a lot of work to clean it up.
Yeah, shaved off the Vtec, deleted the PCV valve, deleted these holes, sanded them smooth, and then obviously cut off the timing belt cover. But yeah, and then I'll get a billet spark plug cover for it, and that'll get powder coated along with the valve cover. But I'll also deleted the hole in the back of this thing as well for a breather, so that got chopped off as well.
Yep, so she's about ready, guys. Getting there. Need a turbo manifold.
Yep, the manifold's on its way.
That's embarrassing.
GP, I called them the other day. Apparently they got a big old back order going on. Everybody and their mothers are ordering manifolds, so I don't blame them. You can't rush perfection. But
my mom actually just ordered one from them. So.
Oh, really? Got it. Nice.
And you said they were one of their mothers, so.
But we're gonna get this thing buttoned up. We got some sensors and some coolant stuff to put on this thing and kind of get the rest of the head together. And we'll keep you updated.
Yep, she's coming along, guys. All right, well, we got our everything else buttoned up. So we got like the cooling stuff on there. Got the dipstick on this side, and yeah, so it's almost ready to make some power. We're making some real progress here, so.
Yeah, this is a huge step.
Yep.
This was a huge step to take today. Yeah, I am stoked.
Hell yeah, I'm stoked as well. So with that being said, thanks for watching tonight, following along with our shenanigans. So yeah, well, we will see you next time.